Let's go, it's Mojo. Life is best.
Hey, Kale, Mojo Monday, sir. How are you?
Incredible. Mojo Monday to you, sir.
It is that day of the week. We took a couple weeks off. We don't have any. This is our first new episode in like 3, 4 weeks, so we're excited.
We are excited. It's time to regroup, and we're bringing it today. This is going to be fun.
This is gonna be a big one. So the title today: Secret Agents Die Broke.
Secret agents die broke.
Except for
Yeah.
James Bond, right? I guess he didn't die broke. I don't know.
He's the only, that's the only example of a secret agent that's probably going to, shaken, not stirred in their martini. So, but that's not the MO for a real estate professional.
Well, no, and James Bond made many movies, so I don't know how secret he really was, but whatever. All right. Did you know our trivia of the day?
Yeah, did you know? So here's your quiz. Think about it. Spend too much time thinking about it because we have some information you're going to want to hear. But what are the top three podcasts and podcasters currently on the market? More importantly, why? Top
Yeah,
three podcasts and why? By
I could
viewership.
only name one of them, which I don't know what that says, but we'll leave it there.
I was surprised as well. I bet you will be too. So stay tuned. The answer at the end.
Yeah. All right. Secret agents die broke.
Hmm.
Secret agents die broke. The way we would frame this is your network. If you have a really strong network, it translates to a higher net worth or higher income potential. But if you're secret, you really don't have that network, right? Set us up, Rick.
Well, at the end of the day, I would be surprised if everyone listening, if you look back at your historical success, there's a huge correlation between the handful of people that love, respect, and trust you, and they're connecting you to someone equally trustworthy, valuable, and with capacity. So it's, I know in my career and in life, man, there's just magic moments where this somebody shows up that's different, that's more capable, more connected, and it changed the trajectory of my business. And couple of key moments were, Sean and Gene Rawls when they tapped me on the shoulder when they were opening up the very first Keller Williams office and invited me to become an investor, the very first office in the state of Georgia. And man, it just talk about life changing. And it was one moment and one person. Another is Ralph Hewlin, who was head of advancement for the Fannie Mae organization. And he found us and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, would you help us with foreclosures?" And man, we sold almost 3,000 houses because of a tap on the shoulder. But I would say that we had the right magnet, the right lure. We were available for the conversation. So what I hope you take from today is that it's not about necessarily the quantity, but the quality, and being incredibly intentional and sniping, like a James Bond might,
Like a James Bond might.
like a James Bond might.
So we've got a good friend, Mike Mulder. He puts a spin on this, but before I go there, there really isn't a bigger ROI or return on investment than your network. And our friend Mike Mulder always calls it the ROR, return on relationships.
Yeah.
And why do we say that? Like, why is this the biggest ROI?
Because, there's a saying that I carry around in my pocket that the quality of my life is directly correlated to the quality of the relationships I have with the people in my life. And so I would probably argue that the people that are most connected, there is a business connection, but there's a personal connection that permeates inside out that's most important. And
So let me throw a myth at us for a minute. And I think most people listening are either connected to the real estate industry or understand we're in the real estate industry. A lot of people believe, Rick, being the best sales agent means they're going to have the biggest business. Yet,
yeah,
what I'm hearing in this conversation is it's not specifically being the best sales agent, it's actually being the best networker, the best
mm,
relationship builder, best relationship maintainer, right? What do you
yeah.
think on that?
Well, after 30 years in the industry, coaching and consulting for the entire duration, I think one of the greatest detriments on the planet is extreme intelligence. I know that's controversial, but sometimes people come in so damn smart, they think they can outfox the fox and they can beat the system. And what it really comes down, it's not IQ that wins at our puzzle. I mean, you've got to be capable and professional and have expertise. That's just a given. Everyone assumes when you have a real estate license that you're good at being a realtor. But at the end of the day, if your EQ suffers and you're not connecting at a deep, meaningful way and deep, meaningful level, you're going to make far more money with EQ than IQ with the assumption you're good at what you do.
100%. I just think this concept of your network kind of translates to your net worth. It's a return on investment. A lot of people hear those words, the ROI, and they think monetary, but it's not specifically monetary. It's actually time as well, right? Like our investment in life or in business is either money or time,
Mhm.
and both create a return on investment, right?
Yeah, I mean, but the most important thing you can do for somebody that you want to create a deeper, meaningful relationship with is to ask better questions. So, one of the things that you might want to stop and just take a deep breath and think about is how are you being most appropriate in enhancing the lives of the people that mean the most to you? And not because you want a return, but that's just the reality of the world. And there's two aspects. There's, the law of reciprocity and the law of contribution. And I actually had to look it up recently because I kind of confused the two or blend the two. There's a significant difference. The law of reciprocity says I do something because there's a reciprocal benefit or an expectation. And there's no flaw in that if it's business to business or there's an exchange, it's transactional. But the law of contribution says basically if you show up and contribute with selfless energy and with love on the forefront of that contribution, the return's going to be a magnified return and it's more sincere. And so the EQ piece of this equation, and the best way to do it, by the way, is to ask better questions. And so
Yeah.
that's a practiced skill. And I think one of the greatest perils or risks in life is assuming you're the best at something when you're probably not. And there's always room for incremental improvement. And so I would challenge everyone, and I challenge myself regularly, instead of espousing, wisdom to be perceived wise or maybe to add value. And I don't do it, no one does this to for ego purpose typically. But at the end of the day, it's so much easier to just tell someone what to do. Just go, here's what you do this, this, and this. But it's far more powerful to ask questions that allow them to self-discover that truth. And that's what a real advocate does. And that's high level intelligence in play and really high level EQ.
I love it. So let's take us to this next layer of this is we use the phrase avatar a lot, and I think most people associate that with the movie, right? But the truth is it's a business term which says, what's your ideal person? What's the prototype of who should be in your database, right? Like who
Mhm.
should be in your network. So how do you think about how do we ask ourselves what's our avatar? Because a lot of times we just want to collect as many names as possible, but when you throw the word avatar at it, it kind of means quality over quantity, doesn't it?
It does, but I think there's two aspects to the term avatar. One is maybe look over your shoulder, your past performance over the last 2, 3, 4 years, and just confirm who's been the most generous, thoughtful, and contributory person in your database or in your sphere. And take a deep dive into what are the attributes, the personality style, their mojo, their flow, their age, demographic. Like, why is that person more inclined than others to think of you first when they think of someone capable of serving the people in their world, in their sphere? And so that could be your avatar for a target person to add to your database, because there's a natural connection and a fit that you don't have to fight and swim upstream to win. The other piece of avatar is, I think one of the greatest values we have is that if you contend you're highly networked and you're connected, does your database actually reflect being highly networked? When anyone in your database thinks, or anyone in your sphere thinks about, oh, wow, I need someone to, fix, solve, or cure something, whether it's, real estate sector, marketing, property and casualty insurance, maybe it's in the trades, do they think of you first before they pull up Chat GPT or Google? And if they do, you're winning. And so one aspect of an avatar might be, do I have one person representative of every possible need so that the perception is I am the ultimate source for trusted referrals for any industry class and any need?
I like that. I could ask you, Rick, like if you were starting today, what would your avatar be? And I think your first inclination would probably be some kind of range of age
Yeah.
around your age, right? But
Yeah.
it's not always that. Like you could become the mentor to the next generation, right? Like your avatar could be the next generation, or your avatar could be the older generation and becoming a specialist in helping them through that phase of life. It just depends on how you want to build your business and who you want to connect with, right?
Yeah. If you're going to expand your sphere, why not lean into things that are of great interest to you where you also have great impact? And for some of us, I mean, it could be, becoming maybe showing up as a teacher and a mentor, as you said. It could also be special interest groups, clubs. It could be social, civic. It could be sports related, alumni groups. Like who haven't you leaned into of late that if you did creates value for the group that eventually leads to benefiting from the law of contribution?
All right. Well, once you get clear on this avatar, we're going to give you a acronym and a formula, and Rick's going to make fun of me. But I'm going to throw this acronym BAE, BAE. And the
Bay.
younger generation certainly knows what a bay is, Rick. The older generation maybe knows what a bay is. It's a popular term shortened for baby or somebody important to me.
Uh,
Um, and our acronym BAY starts with build a powerful network for the B. How do you build a powerful network?
Well, if you leave it to organic chance, it'll be what it'll be. I mean, you bump into people randomly, but um, I'd like to take a moment to remind everyone that not everyone deserves you or your time or your energy. If there's a disproportionate relational ROR, the return on relationship, those are the ones you run from. There's lifters and leaners. You want to hang out with people who are lifters. So step one is to get really clear and recognize you have value and you deserve value. And so as far as building a powerful network, there's four key ingredients that I've outlined in it's a class I take that's called or take I deliver called building your network through a powerful network. And it's building it around life events where you are, where they are, and connecting on common ground. Another way to build a powerful network is just mini spheres. How do you connect the dots for people? One of the greatest gifts for you would be, someone referred to you that ultimately becomes an influencer in your life and has value and creates greater ROR. Why not be that person for other people? That's the ultimate gift. That whole who do you know that I should know is a great way. Who do you need to know that if you knew makes a difference? And it's a great way to add value and show disproportionate care and candor for somebody.
Right. Well, I think isn't that how we built our friend circles in life anyway? It was just like, hey, I'm going to invite my friend to the outing. And then all of a sudden you became friends with them. And then it became a group and it became a little community. And we've always built things that way, but
Yeah.
we don't always think to build things that way in business.
Yeah, and don't let your habits eliminate the potential to upgrade and top grade your potential through your network. So, it's easy to it's just I think change is challenging for some people and adding people may sound complicated or maybe, it's just we're creatures of habit. So don't let habit, be the ceiling of your achievement. And I think this is a beautiful time in life to take a deep breath and go, who could I add to my network and sphere that truly is impact rich for life?
There you go. So you said there are four parts.
Yeah, the third one is be a connector. We talked
Okay.
about that. And that's, adding people to your database that are professionals that become a great referral source that are vetted that have the same, commitment to excellence. And that's a huge gift. And it's something that again creates a two-way conversation and creates an invitation to add value and contribution. So be a connector. And we're going to talk in a minute about a strategy that might pay huge dividends in being, instead of shotgunning, you could snipe or get very specific and win efficiently with building out any missing pieces in your database that might be of value to the people you serve. And the last one is providing value first in the recognition of, again, reciprocity and contribution. So that one we touched on.
I love it. All right. So the A in Bay, activate the network. Activating, it's one thing
Mm,
to build a database, but if it's not active or it's not on fire or connected or sending you seeing the value, you've got to create action inside of the network, right?
Yeah, you absolutely do. In fact, if you look at we're going to share the three top podcasts. They do a tremendous job of doing this. One is they have, content people want to hear, whether it's entertainment or education or inspiration. There's value that people come back for. So in activating your network, one, you have to be engaged and engaging, or it's irrelevant. They're not going to, you have to constantly remind people that you're the source, you're the value. And so maybe write out on a piece of paper right now, how do people know and how do I enhance that? You've got to go strategy. This is not just a wishful, hopeful thought. And so it comes down to communicating and the things you're saying, the things you're doing. It's the message and the method. What's the message you're regularly delivering and how are you delivering it? Those are the cornerstones of great marketing and exposure. But in the category here, you've got one idea is to host mastermind dinners, 5 to 7 people, just one idea of connecting people. Hey, I think you should know so and so. And you're going to create huge ROR in connecting great people and expanding. Or who do you know that you'd want to bring to dinner that might enhance an experience, out personally or professionally? I actually knew. So here's an idea. There was a fellow that used to run the vendor directory or the vendor list at one of our offices, and he did it for free. He was just out of the goodness of his heart. And at one point, I asked him why he was doing it. Like, this is beautiful, and I'm grateful. And he's like, well, I like doing it. It's fun. It's a challenge to get, one non-competing vendor from each category class that will pay into the office, and it created income, for some ancillary social things we would do. But what I also realized, it was a referral source and it was brilliant. And the cool thing is it's a blueprint. You can do it. You don't have to do it for your office. But here's what he did that was magic. Once a quarter, he got everyone together, one person per industry, and he had a breakfast. And in that breakfast, they each shared, their perspectives. And they basically, it was a mastermind where they, top graded their ideas and thoughts around HR, how they, billables, how they handle hiring strategies. And he had a topic of the day and he created a mastermind and talk about adding value and a referral source, by the way, for each of them. They could now know that, I'm specializing in this, you're specializing in that. You're now part of a network. So that's a tremendous way to bring value, connect people, and then also enhance the relationship. Obviously, sharing market insights and valuable information. And again, it all comes down to being a trusted connector. That's the secret sauce to being more magnetic.
Well, but if you go back to the share market insights, one of the things in relationships is you have to add value to relationships, right?
Yeah.
So when you're bringing market insights or valuable information to your network, you're adding value. It's not just a help me, help me. It's like, how can I help you at the same time so that you would want to help me?
Yeah. Part of it's honestly, it all starts with owning a perspective around what the need is. What problem are you solving? If you wake up every day with what does the world need more of and what problem am I solving and how do I advance humanity in a positive way? Those three buckets, there's endless material. And then I would utilize AI or utilize, your favorite, where's your source of those three categories and how do you add value? Repurpose it in your voice and make it as local as possible because people are most interested in local information that
Yeah.
affects them personally.
Let me push pause on our conversation for a minute, and I just want to reiterate something. Rick, I don't want to take credit for it. You put it together, but you've got a one pager we're going to give everybody that covers all this because we've got a lot of information we're dropping in this call. So
Yep.
I think I would absolutely encourage everybody to get their hands on your one pager, right?
Yeah, it's an amazing resource. It's just a reminder step by step. Everything we're talking about is represented on this one page outline and it's robust. There's even categorical lists of all of the possible people to cross-reference against your database to make sure as the ultimate connector and the ultimate source for quality trusted referrals, you've got somebody at your fingertips ready when a need arises. And so one idea might be to take this list, upload it into chat or one of the other AI programs, and then upload your database. And here's the assumption, Brett, huge assumption that your database is categorized by job description or by role,
Yeah.
and that your vendor directory, at least your vendor directory, should be categorized and available, right? And if it is,
100%.
upload this list and ask your AI to tell you what are the missing holes or deficiencies. And now you've got an easy target. Wake up every day and connect with 3 to 5 new people that meet that need list.
There you go. And social media is a database, but you can't categorize it.
No.
You can
No.
group it. You can group it. Like you can do Facebook groups and I think on Instagram you can do your friends list versus everybody else and those kinds of things. But it's not as categorized as like a traditional database in a contact resource management or CRM, right?
Well, how about this? Why not go through your entire friends list on whatever social network you're on and just write out, you know, write their name and what they do and see if some of those that are already in your sphere, are you referring them? Have you had that conversation to say, hey, my intention is to bring value? Is that something that would interest you? Talk about an easy call, an easy connection, and an easy way to, again, add value to that relationship instantaneously and to fill the voids that are missing from your go-to vendor list.
At some point, Rick, I'm off the cuff here. AI should be able to scrub my Instagram list and build me a database from it.
1,000%.
It's not, I don't know if it's
Not
there
should
yet.
be.
I've never
Not
tried.
should be, Brett. It can. It can.
Okay. Somebody figure it out and then tell me the step by step.
But here's
All
the
right.
key. There's a difference between a database and then having a relationship, with that database. Like otherwise
100%.
it's either a directory or when we say database, you can substitute for high value relationships.
Yeah. Well, hence the acronym BAY, right? Like build the database, but you've got to activate the database. And it takes us to our E. Now, Rick, I need you to go after this call. I need to go tell your wife that she's your BAY and see your reaction and report back to me.
Yeah.
But
It's gonna be
uh,
cross-eyed, but why not?
the E stands for extreme gratitude, and extreme gratitude will give us exponential referrals. Gratitude is such a powerful thing, and extreme gratitude means you're going out of your way to be a grateful person and show gratitude. And you have to trust that that will pay dividends or ROI back.
Mm. It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. It's literally the highest form of currency is making someone feel heard, honored, and special.
Yeah.
And it's not always the big things. It's small things done repetitively that create, they're like investing in an investment portfolio. If you drop enough money in there, one day it compounds and then you don't get to, you earn the right to withdraw and to get, the reciprocity piece shows up. And so
Yeah.
here's where just a quick tip. One, it needs to be immediate. And so what I learned early on in my career is that to wait for a referral to pay off or to show up in the
In
after
the
an
bank
appointment with
account.
that,
Yeah.
you've missed the point. They've already done their part. They've already exercised, proactive effort to help you have a better life and to help the person they're referring. This is professional, of course. And so immediate feedback. And I'll just give one quick example of a form of feedback, and the highest form is a handwritten note or a personal experience or face to face, maybe a lunch or a meeting. But I had a young fella buy one of my books at an event where I spoke, and he was clearly sharper than most. Asked good questions. We talked for a little while at the booth that I was at, and he went home and read it. And a month later, he could have easily just texted me. We traded numbers. Hey man, cool book. Thanks. That was great. Instead, he took time to videotape a 2 minute. It was detailed and specific about how it impacted his life and changed this and made a forever mark on him in a positive way. I was in tears, Brett. I will never delete that video. And there's just levels of connection. Goes back to the method of delivery. And so rethink the easy path when people do something thoughtful, and what does it look like to outperform a response, like literally over, so that they know unequivocally you couldn't be more thrilled and grateful for that.
Man, gratitude is such a powerful force that we underestimate, right?
Well, I'd do that guy could call me tomorrow, and if his car was broken down, he's out of Knoxville, I would drive to Knoxville for that guy. I would literally drop everything.
Wow.
It was a 2 minute video. That's all it took.
Wow. All right. So, Bay, build a powerful network, activate your network, extreme gratitude. Um, let's wrap this conversation with action. Like, if I'm listening to this, I get it. Like, I've heard it, I've read it. Network is your network. Like, it's a popular phrase. And if you're anywhere in our world, we talk about your database all the time. We talk about that being the foundation of business. We talk about building your database is the lifeline to success in any sales career. Yet this is a little bit deeper than that, right? Like, this is understanding your avatar, understanding the importance of this, and then actually creating action. How would you challenge us to take action on this?
I mean, there's a few key phases. The most important thing I think is recognize the most attractive relational what person is the most important. If you added someone, let me reframe that, to your world, what would that person look like for the greatest impact that you could also impact? Where's that? That comes back to the avatar. What are the top five people in your world for as a referral source if it's a business question? And then who are the top 3 to 5 people that give you the greatest joy when you're in their presence? And how do you magnify social sphere expansion that gives you more bandwidth there? So it's personal and professional. The second step is to just analyze your database and make sure that if you claim to be the connector that you are, do you have someone represented in every life class that you could refer someone if they had a need? And we talked about using AI to maybe economize that experience or to be very specific and efficient. The third is make sure that you're actually engaged with your database and you're having quality communications. And that goes back to the activation, or the A, in there, and how are you, utilizing that. And the last is, are you really exercising extreme gratitude and making sure that people that are important feel every bit important? Don't leave a word unsaid that matters. Don't assume you'll talk later. If you have a quality thought about anybody, wake up every day and give 10 sincere compliments and connect with people and watch your day explode. We're all mirrors. And so it's an amazing gift for them. And it's also a major power boost to you.
Love it. Love it. I'm dying to know the top three podcasts. I guess one of them,
You
but I
did. You
didn't
nailed
get
it.
the other two. So tell me.
Joe Rogan Experience. Number one, ridiculous following. Number two, I would not have known this. Crime Junkie.
I can
Crime.
see that. There's a lot of
Yeah.
true crime junkies out there.
I know my,
I don't know
I,
why. That's a little twisted that that's a
I
popular
don't know. I come home often and find, what is it, 2020, or what are those, or the
Dateline.
whatever, the
Dateline. Yeah.
Dateline. That's the one. Dang. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The third is The Daily. It's
The
produced
Daily.
by the New York Times. It has built-in credibility and distribution. It's 20 minutes in and out. And here's why, though. There are three core drivers. And this is why this is important to you, because these things might drive how you communicate, especially in a social setting or with social media. One is habit or addiction loop. How can you deliver content that creates a habit or an addiction loop that they want to come back for more? And maybe it's an intriguing thing that you pull up that's not related to exactly, what you do for a living, that has people leaning in going, all right, tell me more. And so that's daily news is for The Daily, episodic storytelling, which is Crime Junkie, and then long form deep dives, which is rare, and Rogan's got that dialed in. The second aspect is broad versus niche balance. Rogan is ultra broad. Crime Junkie dominates that niche, and then The
Yeah.
Daily is universal utility. So it's like a jack of all trades, beneficial thing to
Well, but I
watch.
think we could apply that to our database. Are we going to be broad or niche? Are we going to be universally relevant information? Or what was the third one?
Those were kind of, yeah, one's ultra broad, one's ultra niche, and one is universal utility. My
Yeah.
best advice is start with things that enhance humanity and inspire and motivate. Use that maybe as the energy behind it, and then create diversity in the messaging. If you feel like you're saying the same thing over and over, here's what's going on in the market, here's what's going on with, interest rates. Don't be afraid to talk about life. I think people care about life as much as the specificity of what you do, day in and out as a real estate professional. Get comfortable being uncomfortable and having fun with just life. And create humor. Humor is an amazing, amazing resource and tool. And again, there's so many resources that help you build content. That should be the easiest part of the equation. The more challenging part might be just overlaying content with your personality and just getting, there's the whole saying of, practice makes perfect. And it's just practice over time creates perfection. And then the last one's consistency and volume. Frequent releases equals more downloads and a stronger algorithm for success in social media. And loyal audience return weekly or daily.
Rick, we got to be more consistent with Mojo Monday, my friend.
We do. We do. Hey, here's the good news. The day you show up perfect is the day you should probably call it a day. I think imperfection is a beautiful place. You're perfectly imperfect because you're striving for better and more. And that's why we're here.
I love it. Happy Mojo Monday, everybody. Make it
Happy
a great
Mojo
week.
Monday.